And as you can see, I also have an affinity for classic sci-fi tales of pop culture.
That's Star Trek.
That's not Star Wars?
Don't cross the streams. Don't cross the streams. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. So
okay, yeah,
I know. I'm up.
That's great stuff too. Yeah. I denne uge inviterer Disney os til en forunderlig verden.
Ethan, you brought the dog? Sorry!
Our entire world is in grave danger. I want you to come with me on an expedition.
I'm not my father. He was the explorer.
I know you were just a kid when you went missing, but now, you're all we got.
Strange World er en sjov og smuk hyldest til de kulørte sci-fi-film, serier og magasiner fra fordums tid, og samtidig en meget moderne fortælling om 3 vidt forskellige generationer, der tørner sammen i et utroligt underjordisk univers, hvor de sammen skal prøve at redde deres verden på overfladen.
Let's get moving! Whoa, wait, Joe!
Og vi har talt med filmens 3 hovedansvarlige skabere, produceren Roy Conli, som har arbejdet for Disney i over 25 år siden Klokkeren fra Notre Dame, samt instruktøren Don Hall og forfatteren Qui Nguyen, som sammen lavede sidste års Raya og den sidste drage. Og både Conli og Hall har også den Oscar-belønnede Big Hero 6 på CV'et. Det er altså 3 erfarne mænd inden for animationsfeltet, og i lydstudiet har de også hyret nogle erfarne fyre.
Stop talking! Stop talking! Stop talking!
Classic Jaeger Clade.
I found it so funny while watching the film that we have Dennis Quaid again venturing into another world, and then
into an inner space, you would say.
Yeah, exactly. It's suddenly realizing it is a sort of inner space journey that he's.
It's a weird, like, inner space sequel. Also, kind of a sequel to what was the one where Jake and
they played
The Day After Tomorrow. Yeah. They played father and son in The Day After Tomorrow, so...
I was actually going to ask about that. What did that factor in your mind? The fact that they had such great chemistry in that? Oh, no. It was a happy accident.
I don't even... Were they even on screen together in that movie? Barely.
Well, they were in hunt for each other, so they had very limited... They only had, like, the reunion.
We thought it was funny after the fact, but, yeah, it didn't factor into the actual casting. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think they meet at the very end and they say, I hope I can join you in a different movie where we have more screen time together. I think that's the final line in The Day After Tomorrow. But seriously though, how do you go about casting these sort of people? Because of course, like again, Dennis Quaid is known for playing adventurers who go to different worlds, like in Inner Space, like in Enemy Mine. So,
Enemy Mine, I love that movie.
Another classic of the sci-fi genre, but how much do you look at actors' sort of experience and physicality, and how much does it come down to the voices?
That's a good question, and it's kind of both. I would say is sort of the persona of the actor if they've got a body of work, you know, and voice. And with Dennis and specifically with Jaeger, like he came in with that voice. Like we didn't direct him a certain way. I pitched him the story, and then he came in for his first record. I don't think he'd read the script. We gave it to him, but I don't think he read it. Yeah. And so he just came in and just
I gotta take.
Yeah, it's like. And just did it, and we loved it, and
And the animators loved it, because they were just like, when they got the voice, because they get so excited when the actor comes up with something that's really creative and fun. Yeah. So they knew exactly what to animate to. They're like, oh, we get who this guy's supposed to be now. Yeah. So Des really kind of like rounded out the thing that we were building. Yeah.
What's terrific is it's been, particularly this last week, we've been doing a lot of press and seeing them together. They have a great rapport.
How much are they actually together? I mean, also these 3 different generations of characters in the sound studio together, if at all.
When we're in the sounds, particularly during this whole COVID experience, very seldom are we in the same room together. Don generally will be reading with the actors. I think it's a testament to the actors. They work by themselves, but boy, do they create a reality and a loving family. It's just spectacular.
Who's he? Ethan, meet your grandpa. That's Jaeger Clade?
The one and only. Follow me.
It's very much an amalgamation of the classic pulp magazines, of course, and also of classics, sci-fi, fantasy, adventure shows and films of the 50s and 60s, especially. That's what I felt. And then at the same time, it's also a very modern story about like humanity's relation to the environment and also about family relationships. But what was the sort of genesis of the whole thing?
Well, it started in like 2017. I had just come off of Moana, and I took a break and then was fully recharged, ready to jump back in. And what was on my mind at the time was my kids, and just thinking about what kind of world they're going to inherit, and what kind of world did I inherit from my father, who's a farmer. And you know, I just had a desire to do essentially an environmental story, but a generational one that could speak to like the, you know, through the lens of sort of 3 generations. But then I also love adventure films and stories, so I thought that would be a wonderful vehicle, you know, the kind of big adventure tale to deliver this environmental message.
And sort of, you mentioned, of course, the 3 generations of the tale, but how did you set about creating these 3 generations of characters and then also intertwining sort of their personalities and how they clash and mess together and their stories as well?
Well, it kind of all started with Jaeger, right? Jaeger is like, you know, when you think about those pulp adventures like Doc Savage, he was very much that guy with the, you know, ripping white shirt, you know, super alpha explorer, and you're like, oh, well, he's super great. But we've seen movies about him. What if we made a movie about his son? Like, what is it like to live under the legend of, you know, Indiana Jones type of character?
Mr. Clade, I'm a huge fan of your dad. Do you think you could forge his autograph?
What? The next step was like, well, what kind of dad do you become when your dad kind of had a different ambition? And so that's where Ethan came in, and that kind of relationship between the 3 is also like who Don and I are in context to the film itself. We are the searchers of the film. We are dads and sons. Our parents are around the same age as Jaeger, and we have kids around the same age as Ethan, so we knew what it was like to be in that kind of generational conflict with those that came before you and those coming after you.
So which of you is the real Splat in the real world?
Who's the Splat?
Who's the Splat? I don't know. He's such a
Roy Conli,
little agent of chaos. Yeah, I'd say Roy.
Our producer.
There you go, Roy.
He's a squirrely dude.
Yeah, that must be such an interesting challenge to take this character who, of course, is basically a blue blob who looks more like a virus than an actual living, you know, normal being, and then sort of anthropomorphizing it, making it alive, making it charming. That must be a special challenge.
Yeah, but it was a joyous one because, you know, our animators are so good. I mean, they are some of the best animators on the planet, and I knew that, like, if we just gave them the barest of bones, they would be able to create. I mean, again, like the carpet in Aladdin was sort of a reference.
Yeah.
You know, essentially it's a rectangle with some tassels, and they were able to express personality with it. And I think to me that just gets to the essence and the beauty of animation. And I had such high hopes, and they shattered them with what they did with Splat. I mean, they came up with stuff. You know, like the one particular scene that sticks in my head is like when Ethan storms out of the Primal Outpost game in a huff, and then Splat follows him and pulls up his imaginary pants. You know, like we didn't direct that. No. You know, that was an animator, you know, trying to make everybody laugh. And
I think that's the ultimate lesson in making one of these films is like a lot of the joy of making it is literally us making each other laugh in the room, whether there's you know, me writing some jokes in a script, or our story artist coming up with like gags and storyboards, or our animators coming up with like fun characterizations for these characters that just like make us giggle. Because that's the joy in making these films, is the collaborators you get to work with.
And I wanted to ask both of you, because of course I'm from a very small nation. We're only about 5 million people, but we're very proud of this animated movie we made last year called Flea.
Har du nogensinde fortalt din livshistorie før?
Nej.
Which of course was in competition with Ray and the Last Dragon at the Oscars. And for you, with your huge experience in the world, and if you've seen it, I'd love to hear your sort of perspective on how that film worked and what you felt about it.
Yeah, it was a beautiful.
It was awesome.
It was a beautiful, moving film. It was one of those films that kind of crossed a couple of genres, right? It was a documentary. It was an animated film. So like I remember I sat with them at the Oscars, and they were a passionate group, and I love the film. And you know, whenever you make a movie and you get to be, you're so lucky to be invited to that party. You're hanging out with literally the best of the best. So I mean, congratulations to that team to being at that party. You know, we always feel lucky that we get to go there too.
No, well, you know what I love about that film is it has he plays with style through the entire film, and I think it really works well into the storyline of the documentary. I think it's a magnificent piece. Animation and different styles of animation can be used in all formats.
We need you to figure this out, otherwise we're doomed. We are doomed!
Wait, seriously?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Didn't see that coming.